watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
Welcome to a post-football season edition of The End Zone, along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. The Super Bowl was played last week, which officially ends the football season. I guess at least on the field, right? We still have like pro days and the NFL draft, and football really never sleeps, but the competition at least is over for the foreseeable future.
Was it the UFL? Is that what they were advertising?
I think so.
Whatever
I think
the Rocks
so.
League.
Yeah.
They were advertising that during the Super Bowl. It's like, I'm probably not going to be watching.
Yeah, we have spring football, right?
That's
or
coming.
at least at the moment we have spring football, because that's something that seems like it may be something of the past.
Right.
Very, very soon from now, as a lot of schools are canceling that for fear of having all their players poached via the transfer portal, right?
Tampering, yeah. They're talking about going to more like of an OTA-style format at some point, rookie camp, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that'll start this year, probably too late in the game for that, but I would imagine that's where we're heading at some point in college football.
I did think it was funny that, OSU has not had spring games for a while, right?
Yeah.
And they finally say we're going to have one just as everybody else is getting out of the spring game business, which fits Mike Gundy's profile, right? Just go against the grain, do what he wants to do.
That's all he does. There's no doubt about that.
Well, it is the All-Star break in the NBA.
Right.
We've made it to we're over the halfway point of the season, but the unofficial halfway point of the season. We're going into the All-Star break, and TJ, I don't know about you, I think the Thunder are clearly the best team in the NBA as we are now in the break.
Sure feels that way. If you ask the national pundits, it would be the Lakers now after the Luka trade. They think that they're like the ultimate favorite to win the West now. But, I mean, everything that Oklahoma City's done consistently since the start of the year has proven that they're the best team in the league. And that's with multiple different lineups that they've had to run out there on the floor, whether it be without Chet, with Chet, without Isaiah Hartenstein, with him. Jalen Williams has missed him. But they've had a bunch of key pieces miss games in certain stretches, and they just continue to go out there and win games. And I know that winning games in November, December, January won't win you games in whatever May, June, but they're proving that they can win in multiple ways, and that to me is the most important thing.
I think you just nailed it. I mean, they're showing that they can not only face adversity with the number of injuries they've faced, but all the different guys they've had to count on to play crucial roles because of those injuries. We still haven't seen this team fully healthy with the entire arsenal available to them, and Chet's still kind of easing his way back in, but the combination of Hartenstein and Chet in the front court, SGA is clearly the best player in the NBA right now, and to me it feels like it would take something monumental for him to not be the MVP of the NBA this year. J-Dub has missed time. He's going into his first All-Star appearance this weekend. But even the role players, right? We've had to have different role players in Oklahoma City, whether it's been, the other Jalen Williams out of Arkansas. He missed the first portion of the season. They really didn't have any big men outside of Chet to start the year. Aaron Wiggins has been sensational when his number has been called, but Cason Wallace has been injured lately. It's just, you have a lot of these pieces, Alex Caruso, that give you so many options in terms of how you can match up with other teams, and they've just kind of navigated their way around any obstacle that's really been presented.
The impressive thing, too, to me, a lot of the talk has been about how dominant they've been, leading the league in point differential, right? They have the top defense in the league. They've had a streak multiple times through the year of double-digit wins in a row. When they've gotten tested, there's been times where they've ultimately lost games. Everybody loses games in the NBA. But when you've been as dominant as you've been, you want to see how you look when you get tested, when there's adversity. You mentioned the Heat game earlier this week was a perfect example of that. They're down 20 in the first half and just light it up in the fourth quarter and go on to win that game. And so that, to me, was more impressive than what they've been doing, blowing teams out by 20-plus. How do you handle things when they're not going your way? And I thought that was a really nice litmus test of that.
Well, to that point, how many games this season have they maybe started slow, didn't have the greatest first half, but for whatever reason, coming out of the locker room in the third quarter, most of the year, they've been electric.
Dominant, really. And a lot of the wins that they've built up to this season have been without Shea playing in the fourth quarter. That was another thing. SGA, I think, started the fourth against the Heat, which is very rare for him to do. Normally, that's J-Dub's time to kind of shine. That's right. That's what he does in the years past. So, they again, finding ways to win, handling the adversity when you're not winning. They're doing a lot of things right now. And SGA, to me, is, you mentioned it, a clear favorite for the MVP at this point.
There's still a lot of basketball to be played. We still got to go through what feels like 6 months of playoff basketball to even get to an NBA Finals. But if you are going to pinpoint, your champion right now at the All-Star break, is it the Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, all bias aside, they have been the best team in the league, right? And they've lost games to teams. You know, the Cavs, for example, they go to Cleveland and lose that game, and then they come to Oklahoma City and just get wrecked. I mean, Thunder dominated that game from start to finish when it was at the Paycom Center. I can't think of a team right now that I would pick over the Thunder at this point. Now, are there teams that can give them fits? Absolutely. But right now, there's all the confidence in the world picking the Thunder.
In a 7-game series, I don't see anybody in the West beating this Thunder team. If you talk about an NBA Finals matchup, I think Boston is the best matchup for the Thunder in terms of how they can mix and match their pieces to give the Thunder trouble, but I still favor OKC in a series like that. You can't predict injuries, obviously, so unless there are injuries that we can't foresee, that might be the one thing that prevents them. But otherwise, I feel like they're Thanos and the Avengers, right? They're inevitable. As long as they have the entire arsenal and the way that, again, they can mix and match their different pieces. They can play big against big teams. They can play small against small teams. They can play every style of basketball that somebody can throw at them, and I don't see who ultimately is able to get in their way, barring an injury situation.
And a quick point, too. There's been talks from, again, national pundits that there's not really a team that anybody in the Western Conference fears at this point, right?
That's right.
You know, the Thunder aren't a fearful team, right? To that point, there's nobody in the West that the Thunder should be fearing.
That's
either,
right.
I mean, they're better than clearly head and shoulders better than anybody else in that conference. And if you look at the 2s, the 3s, the 4s behind them, I think you like the matchups with all those teams.
The two teams that went further than they did in the playoffs last year, Minnesota, who's clearly not the same version that they were a year ago, and Dallas, who just kind of revamped their roster, and we'll see how many of those players are available in the postseason. But you take Josh Giddey, which was your biggest weakness in their postseason run last year, out of the lineup, and you strengthen yourself in every other area. Again, bias aside, I truly think that barring injury, they are the team to beat in the NBA. All right, we're going to take our opening time out, and DEION IMADE, former guest of the show, is going to join us for Moving the Chains here on the End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone. It's time for this week's edition of Moving the Chains, where our guest is former guest of the show, former Oklahoma State defensive back, DEION IMADE, who joins us as we get ready for a big Valentine's Day weekend. DEION, great to have you. You know how this thing works, right? It's 4 questions. You start with 1st and 10. We grade your answers with positive or negative yardage, and you got to try to pick up the first down. We all set?
Man, I'm just ready for my second series.
I was going to say, he got a first down last time,
That's
didn't he?
right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's ready to do that. Maybe you can punch one in the end zone this time instead of just getting the first down. So we'll throw the softballs to you, but it's up to you to actually hit them out. All right, 1st and 10 to DEION IMADE. What is your favorite thing about Stillwater, Oklahoma? You played there outside of the football. What's your favorite thing about Stillwater?
Man, I'm not going to lie. The first time I ever went to Stillwater, the first stop, the first thing I ever went to, Eskimo Joe's and getting those cheese fries, I'm not going to lie, might be the top-notch, the best thing about Stillwater. So, not going to lie. Cheese fries, Eskimo Joe's, man.
You went the food route. I like it.
And here's the thing, too, is that I think that's probably a very popular answer. But to me, it's the correct answer because it's great, and it's very unique. To really anywhere else. So I'll give him a nice gain there. Let's go 5 yards. It wasn't like overly creative, but it's the correct answer. So a positive gain on first down.
I did think there was a chance DEION was going to talk about how sweet the drinks taste underneath the neon palm trees.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It's a family show. This is a family show. Keeping it clean.
He feels like a guy that would hang out with the tumbleweed quite a bit. We'll talk about that with DEION a little bit later. Okay.
My mom's probably watching. Chill.
Let's go 2nd and 5. Maybe a more serious question. I want your thoughts right now, today. Who is the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State for the 2025 season? You got a guy in mind?
I mean, a number of guys were able to, go under center and make plays, but I'm leaning towards Flores. I think I haven't seen him be able to participate, but from everything that I've heard about him in practice before the injuries and everything you see from his recruiting tape and just his ability to play football and be a dual threat guy, especially in this day and age of college football, I kind of lean towards number 6.
I think that there's a real chance he gets an opportunity at some point. I feel like Mike Gundy loves experience.
I would agree.
Right? I mean, over his experience at Oklahoma State, which
Yeah.
is now 20 years, how many times has he talked about how much he values someone that's had that time on the field? I think Garrett Rangel, if healthy, is your week 1 starter, and then maybe that baton is passed at some point. So I like the DEION answer, but for week 1, I don't think that's going to be correct. I'll give you a 1-yard gain because I think you had something there, but not the answer I was necessarily looking for to start the season.
That's fair enough.
At least. So 3rd and 4, you didn't lose yards, DEION. So
Yeah, it was a good answer. Well articulated.
Yeah.
Money down.
All right,
Money down.
this is a money down, and this is a money question. So you have a giant opportunity here to maybe pick up a first down on 3rd down or punch one in. Valentine's Day, what is your Mount Rushmore of love songs?
Oh, love songs.
Mount Rushmore love songs.
Okay, here it is, man. All right. Like, first and foremost, you got to throw, and I was listening to this morning, Jagged Edge, Let's Get Married, okay? That's in first and foremost.
Okay.
That's top of the notch Caleb song.
So you got 3 more.
Yeah, you got to throw some Babyface in there, all right? Babyface, it always gets it done, and he's the man that you got to look to. Next, he just played in the Super Bowl, so this might be top of the mind right now. Usher, everybody loves him. Roller skates or not, you got to put Usher on there and make sure it gets the room moving. And then, listen here, guys. All right, you don't get the people mad at you, okay? With your response to this, okay? But you got to show up to the Beehive. Put Beyonce on that Mount Rushmore, and be careful, okay? Because if Beyonce is not on your music Mount Rushmore, it's dangerous. You're playing dangerous games. So I'm gonna leave that to you guys right there.
Okay.
Hey, I threw a couple of Hail Marys. I played it safe a little bit. So what's your response?
Yeah, that was again well said in terms of Hail Marys and also some safe ones. So I'm going to give the first down because he got creative. And then he also played it safe, and I think that's good. So we won't give you more than 4.
Pick your spots, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll give you a 4-yard gain. So you got first down. This is where we can really, we can take a shot here. You got your first down now, DEION. So it's now 1st and 10.
Playing with house money.
One more time. I need to know. We can call it a guilty pleasure. We can call it like a secret addiction. What's your favorite rom-com? Right, romantic comedy movie. I need to know what your favorite one is, and listen, you can expose yourself here too if you need to. Whatever you need to do, just tell me which one you have to watch, or which one when it's on TV you watch it no matter what.
Guys, this is a loaded question, okay?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question, so you can kind of see the way I sway as far as on the love department by my answer here. But guys, you know me, I'm an athlete, and I like athletes. So if you were scanning through that TV on that guy, and if you see Love and Basketball come up on there and you don't stop, me and you can't be in an item. We cannot be an item. So give me Omar Epps, Love and Basketball, Nia Long. Let's get with it.
Is that a rom-com though? That's a great movie, and I'm with you. I love that movie. Is that a rom-com technically?
Probably.
That's definitely a rom-com. It's romance. It's romantic. It has
funny.
All the elements.
Where's the com part though?
In there. It has the breakup. It has the get together. It has childhood, love interest. It has it all. Guys.
It has a lot of rom, but very little com.
DEION
is what I'm
going
saying.
to war for Love and Basketball.
Listen,
right now.
again, I agree with DEION. It's a great movie. It's just mostly rom, and I'm still trying to think of where the com is.
I'll
that scene where they're icing each other's ankles and their bruises, and then the ice goes in that certain spot, and you didn't laugh at that moment? You didn't laugh? You telling me you didn't have a chuckle or two?
He's got you there.
So we got one scene. Okay,
scene.
fair enough.
Scene.
One scene. We got
Singular.
one scene to secure the com part of the rom-com. So I can't give you a touchdown for it, DEION, but I'll give you another first down because it's such a good movie.
I'll take it.
All right. 3 first downs in this game. I'm in this series right now.
He's
hey,
playing well.
I'll take it.
He's playing
I'll
well.
take it.
All right. We appreciate you, and
Thanks, DEION.
we'll do this again at some point. We got to get you that touchdown at some point.
We'll get
all right?
Hey, man, everybody, happy Valentine's Day, and make sure if you take your loved ones, you hold them tight, and you watch 11 basketball because it's a great movie.
That's right. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and we are back in a moment here on the End Zone. All right, let's talk some college hoops, TJ. Whether you want to or not, we're going to. I know a lot of college hoops fans in this state probably feel a little bit like they did in football season, right? There's a lot of excitement about the year and how this team is going to look, or how these teams are going to look against this new look conference for both the Big 12 and the SEC, and for both OU and OSU. It's been a pretty big disappointment, and starting with Oklahoma State, who just fell short at TCU earlier this week. I mean, the Big 12 is not nearly as dominant a conference as it's been the past 5 or 6 years, but still some pretty heavy hitters at the top, and Oklahoma State has really struggled to find their stride.
They had, Steve Lutz in first year, he had a really complete roster overhaul, basically. And one thing that they have been pretty consistent in is that they play hard. Like, they play hard. And that's, doesn't win you a lot of games, but it's at least a good testament to the coaching style he has, is that they're going to play hard. The problem is they go through so many long spurts of not scoring. That's how you win games, is scoring, and they just have gone through too many. They don't really have a go-to guy, like a guy, hey, we need you to go get a bucket. Like Chi-Chi Avery's been good in spots. Bryce Thompson's starting to come around here late in the year. But you don't have a guy to just hand him the ball and say, just go get a basket. And you need that in this day of college basketball.
I swear to you, everything you just said, I feel like has been copied and pasted from last season and the season before, right? It's a new coaching staff, but it's still some of the same issues that exist with Oklahoma State.
It is, and I think the one thing that you could say is different is that this team at least has a propensity or an opportunity to play fast on the offensive end, give them more opportunities to score. They just haven't found a way to do it yet with this new scheme, system, whatever you want to call it.
It's almost like, and I've said this before about previous Oklahoma State teams, and I think there's something to this with OU as well, but I like the pieces they have. It just seems like at times, for whatever reason, they just don't quite fit the right way.
The problem with college basketball right now, at least the men in the state of Oklahoma, is everything we've just said is very relatable to every other team that we have. Like Oklahoma, the issues are the same there. A lot of really nice pieces, and they just haven't found a way to put them together on a consistent basis, at least.
Now, how much of the Sooners' issue is the Sooners, or how much of it is the SEC conference? Because for as good as the Big 12 has been in recent years, I mean, the power has clearly shifted to the SEC in terms of being the dominant basketball conference in the country.
The biggest difference for me this year for OU is that in years past, they've played well in non-conference, but didn't really play a great schedule. This year, they have really good wins out of conference. Michigan and Arizona are looking like two of the better wins in non-conference play of anybody in the country, really, if you think about it. And they also beat Louisville. I don't know how good Providence is going to be down the road, but that was a decent win, too. But for some reason, they get to league play and they can't figure it out, or can't string things together on consistent nights throughout the week. And so part of it's the schedule, I agree. But another part of it is just this has been a theme that's been happening in league play for the past couple of years.
And the size, I think, especially in the SEC this year, the length, I think, for most of these programs that are currently at least in the top 25, which I believe there are 8 right now, SEC teams in the top 25, the length is shown to be an issue for this specific Oklahoma team this year. All right, we're going to wrap things up with Oklahoma softball back underway, trying to make it a 5-peat for Patty Gasso next on the End Zone. All right, as we wrap up the show, let's talk a little OU softball, because they're going for the 5-peat, right? They have to replace one of the most successful senior classes in, I would say, college athletics history, winning 4 straight national championships. And if anybody can do it, it's Patty Gasso, the new USA softball coach.
Really cool.
Right? Her introduction earlier this week. But they opened last weekend, the season. They go 6-0 on the road. They open their home schedule, I believe, next week at Love's Field. But this is a team that is loaded with talent again, but you're replacing some big-time talents and really leadership, I think, overall.
Agreed. And there's a lot of shuffling around in the lineup and in the circle, too. Patty Gasso's got a bunch of arms that she's trying to work out right now, and we saw that a lot in California this week with the 6-0 run that they had. They had a few games that they got pushed. Went to, 11 innings against Long Beach. or maybe 10. It was scoreless. It was 0-0 in the 10th or 11th inning at that point. OU wins that game, obviously. But they've been pushed a little bit in the non-conference and early in the season, which is just perfect for Patty, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely
She loves that.
use that to say, hey, look, we can't just show up and beat anybody right now. And so I think that's really good. And, yeah, shout out to her for being the Team USA coach. That's
Team
awesome.
USA coach, and obviously to see her in the Olympics, that's going to be incredible. But, yeah, this team obviously has high hopes. They're still incredibly talented, and to face some early season adversity is only going to pay off for them once they're potentially in Oklahoma City at the end of the year. For TJ ECKERT, I am Colby Daniels. Everybody have a great weekend, and we're back next week here on The End Zone.